Hello everyone, welcome back to the Integrity Botanicals YouTube channel. I am doing a really exciting deep dive today on Abel fragrances. You may have heard of them from just browsing the Integrity Botanicals website or me mentioning them here on the channel. I've really gotten to experiment and play with the line. I've gotten a chance to dive deep into the creation of this house in general, and I wanted to sit down and share it with you because I think fragrance can be a little bit intimidating, but this really comes from such a luxurious, sophisticated sort of approach. There's really something for everybody, and they are truly 100% natural fragrances. So Abel was created by Francis Schumack in 2013, so this has been going on for a while, and they create 100% natural fragrances. Now, what does that mean? That means that they use ingredients solely from natural sources and extracted from non-synthetic methods, which ensures non-toxic, renewable, and environmentally friendly fragrances. Sign me up. I'll take 10. How do they do so? Well, they combine master perfumery and biotechnology. Master perfumers are highly skilled fragrance experts with powerful olfactory abilities and talent for blends. The nose behind Abel for the majority of their fragrances is Master Isaac Sinclair. He creates all of the Abel fragrance blends in a lab out of Paris, actually. Fancy. And he can actually smell 5,000 different scents blindfolded. Can you guys get over that? When I heard that, and also Gabriella, who was so kind to educate me a little bit more on the brand, let me know that Francis actually used to be a winemaker, and I found that so incredibly interesting because there's a lot of ties to being a sommelier and a nose. Obviously just different sort of fields, but wine has such an olfactory component to it, and our olfactory senses are so closely tied to memory that I think people get a really emotional reaction out of fragrances and tie them to memories much similarly to the way that they do wine, which I thought that was incredibly cool, and I wanted to make note of that. What is biotechnology? I know. I was like, I learned all about biotechnology when I spoke with Gabriella as well. This refers to the use of plant matters to produce ingredients through fermentation. So a lot of these ingredients don't exist as molecules to use in fragrance. They're not already essential oils. A lot of the fragrance notes that they use, they actually have to create, which is so incredibly cool. But when you are creating things through biotechnology, the ingredients are biodegradable, renewable, and produced in an environmentally friendly way. Very much contrary to regular synthetic chemicals that are used in fragrances, which are, you know, derivative of petrochemicals, obviously very bad for the environment, not renewable, not sustainable, all of the above. So an example of a note that they created using biotechnology is actually their musk. You'll see musk is used in a variety of these different fragrances. I'm going to break down all 5 that we carry and their fragrance notes, but they actually create their own musk molecule to use, or fragrance note, I should say, from the ambrette flower, and that grounds a lot of these fragrances. So I find that so incredibly cool. So as I just stated, we do carry 5 different fragrances from Abel. There really is something for everybody. I highly encourage you guys to get your nose on these. So we do carry samples on the website. They're $6 each. They look a little something like this. I do love that these are atomizer sprays. I think that's the most effective way to use perfume. It is the way it's going to be mimicked when you are purchasing a larger size. $6 each is very like standard with regular high-end fragrances, niche fragrances already on the market. I believe these are 2 milliliters, and it really gives you a chance to have quite a few wears. And get these on the skin if you initially like what it's smelling like on paper, because fragrances have a way of developing throughout the day that I will speak about in just a little bit. So let's actually speak about the one that I have a trial size of right here. This is the most recently launched. I think this is one that a lot of you guys are going to like. This is Laundry Day. Laundry Day retails for $85. It is 15 milliliters. All of the fragrances are, and retail for $85 outside of Nurture, which we'll talk about that. This is in their fresh citrus category, which might surprise you when you first hear that name. So in the top, we've got cut grass and aldehydes. Aldehydes have a very similar note to that of freshly cleaned laundry, like that in the namesake. So you get the top notes the first 5 to 15 minutes of spray, then you're gonna start to smell the heart notes that develop within 20 to 60 minutes while being on the skin, and you get this really vibrant and fresh passion fruit and lime. That like citrus note is really coming through. It feels so incredibly clean, as you would immediately take away from this. But it's grounded in this really pretty, soft, woody base of vetiver that really starts to develop as this sits on your skin for a little bit longer. So there is a warm and cozy quality to this while being incredibly clean. Like, this is something you want to like spray and get into fresh, warm sheets. That's what I kind of describe it as. I did also want to highlight, this is also available on the website if you need to reference this again. If you like these certain fragrances, this might be one for you to try, and I will have these options available for every fragrance. So if you like Dias and Durga Italian Citrus, you may like this. If you like Diptyque Oyedo, you might like this as well as Jo Malone's Lime, Basil, and Mandarin. So such a pretty one, great everyday wear, very, very, very inoffensive and clean. Then we've got my favorite, as well as the global best seller. So I definitely recommend you getting your nose on this. This is in their fresh citrus category. This is inspired by the expansive New Zealand ocean. This is another one that's 15 mil, retails for $85. That is a through line with all of these except for Nurture, and we will get there. So this opens with a burst of green nori, which gives it that really salty quality, which sounds unique to say the least, but there is a really fresh and clean quality to this as well, but definitely aquatic. Then we start getting that tangerine and peach, evocative of a sunset. It gives a little bit of that fruity sort of sweetness, and then it dries down with a grounding, addictive musk that when I pull the cap off of this, I get that musk so incredibly strongly, and it is intoxicating. This definitely has a summery quality to me, but I could also see this being worn while visiting like the Pacific Northwest. It is that like oceanside, moody but fresh sort of deal. I mean, fragrance is so personal. I'm getting better at describing it. That's why I like to talk through the notes here. So the notes are really quite simple. It's just that nori, white peach and tangerine, and then that base of musk. You might like this if you like Tom Ford's Oud Mineral, or Comme des Garçons Hinoki, or Ellis Brooklyn Salt, which is actually a fragrance that I have sampled quite a few times, and I really do go back to these sort of fragrances every single summer. Highly recommend. Then, oh, I also wanted to mention, you guys, these have great magnetic caps. So it is so satisfying. You feel like you're never gonna lose it. It's just the quality is absolutely gorgeous. And they do come in these large boxes that are also made of recycled materials as well. That really subtle A on the top. Beautiful and luxurious. I just want to really drive that home. Now let's keep jumping into the fragrances. Next we've got Golden Neroli. This is in their citrus floral category. This is inspired by the simple, sun-drenched beauty of the Mediterranean. I'd like to be there right now. But this opens with a sweet citrus neroli and matcha tea, which is absolutely delicious sounding. I have heard a lot of virality around matcha fragrances, and I'm so curious to get my nose on this one. It has a gentle and sort of warm quality to it. Then as this dries down, you get this rich nectar-filled petitgrain, ylang ylang, and jasmine sambac. And then this whole thing is just rounded off with a creamy, warm, East Indian sandalwood and vanilla. And that is a through line that I like in so many of my fragrances. It's so grounding. It gives that cozy quality that I really adore as well. And if that sounds interesting to you, or if you want something to sort of compare it to, if you enjoy Byredo's Belle d'Afrique, Gucci's Memoire d'Une, or Dias and Durga's Italian Citrus, this could be a really interesting choice for you. Then moving along to a beautiful floral that we carry on the website, that is Pink Iris. And this was inspired by the challenge to create a modern floral with a vision of it being gender neutral and modern, but with a little bit of an edge. So it's basically not your average floral. And I do think all of these fragrances are gender neutral, which I think is a really cool quality in this. So if you want to buy your man a little something something and you want to steal it, you can absolutely do that. They are very just, they don't pull feminine or masculine. They are just beautiful, indulgent, and rich. I love them so far. But this one here opens up with a herbaceous raspberry leaf and basil with a little bit of a zing from Sichuan pepper. Then we sort of move into our delicate floral blend. This is where you're gonna catch the iris, the rose, and the jasmine. And then again, we get a nice, round, comforting, sweet little end with vanilla and their plant-derived musk. That sort of balance really is going to cut through the powderiness of some of those floral notes. So if a floral fragrance maybe isn't something that immediately jumps out at you, maybe this is something you could try. So if you enjoy Byredo's Young Rose, if you enjoy Jo Malone's Pink Peony and Suede, or Maison Francis Kurjak, I believe is the name, they do Baccarat 540, Pluriel Femme, then this just might be the fragrance for you. And then finally, this is the fragrance I found the most fascinating its story, so I wanted to talk a little bit about it. It is also in a different packaging. I think it's like a different line that Abel carries. It's just the only one in that line we carry. This is Nurture. This is a 30 milliliter size fragrance. It's gonna be double the size of the others. It retails for $30. It has a black lid, also a magnetic cap. That's my fault. I got some other product there on the label because I had this in a drawer. I do recommend you keep your fragrances out of sunlight in order to keep them as authentic to the fragrance as possible. So this was inspired by an idea for an allergen-free, pregnancy-safe fragrance. And what's really cool about this is fragrance went to master perfumer Dr. Fanny Grau. I believe that's how you pronounce it. I'll put it up on the screen just in case I didn't do it justice. She was actually pregnant at the time of its inception. So what I find is really cool about that concept is, one, it is the most allergen safe. So this is something that you could use during pregnancy, and I know a lot of people are very mindful about the products they're used during that time, but maybe you don't want to forego fragrance. But also, I know sometimes through pregnancy, though I've never experienced it, so I hear, it can compromise how you feel about certain fragrances just in the time of your pregnancy. It really is quite powerful like that. So I think that this is so cool that this was created with the pregnant woman in mind, though this is another gender neutral fragrance. So do bear that in mind. And again, highly recommend you grab those samples. So this opens up with a bright and citrusy freshness. This comes from orange blossom and rose. I love rose and fragrance. I mean, and this is as true to rose as you could get because it's not a synthetic rose, which I hate. I like the smell of like roses, like a true blue rose fragrance. The heart of this has an invigorating kick of ginger and jasmine sambac, so it gives it a little bit of freshness. And then it softens with a little bit of sandalwood in the base that you really start to smell as this fragrance dries down. I definitely get those floral notes the most prominently when I first spray this, so I would make sure that you're okay with those notes, but it really is a beautiful yet soft everyday sort of wear. So those are the 5 fragrances from Abel. I really cannot say enough about this brand. Learning more about it really made me want to just spray these all over my body, and don't worry, I did. Before the filming of this video, I did mention Cyan Nori is my favorite. I have smelled them all, I just don't currently have those samples, but I think it's Cyan Nori and then Laundry Day. And these are very much different, so I think that's really cool. But there is such a thoughtfulness that is behind this. I like a brand that has these strong ethos and puts their money where their mouth is and ensures that every step of the way is evocative of that, number one. Number two, there is such a sophistication and luxurious quality about these, which I sometimes feel when you think about a natural fragrance, you think you have to compromise on. You think you're gonna be putting on like a roll-on oil, and while those smell delicious, They lack that sort of luxurious, heavy glass bottle, spraying it all over the place, getting it in your hair type of quality that I really think is so incredibly well done and so incredibly unique. So again, I'm really going to emphasize those fragrances. You really don't know if you like a fragrance until you get it on your skin, because as I've mentioned, they shift and change, dry down, and tell a story, really. That's why I mentioned the top, heart, and base notes of all of these fragrances. So samples are available. If you are like, no, I am sold, all full bottles will be available for you down below as well. I think the price point is right on par with other niche fragrances in the market. I have to say the wear time on these is not at all compromised either. These wear beautifully. I highly recommend putting on a lotion, fragranced or otherwise, to really help drive the scent home. I recommend that with anything. You can even start it as soon as body wash in the shower to really get that luxurious experience. And maybe as I play with these a little bit more, I could do a layering video in the future, but also mix and match. Like I think Cyan Nori and Laundry Day would be beautiful. I think Pink Iris and Nurture could be really good, provided you're not just looking for a pregnancy safe option. There's just so much room to play, so much art to kind of witness really here, and I loved being able to sit down and share it with you. So if you have any questions at all, I really tried to keep this as concise as possible, even though I know it wasn't very concise. There's just a lot of information I wanted to get out. Fire off those questions down below. I now have a contact. I can get more information for you if you're curious about everything. Maybe even if you need a recommendation, let me know that as well. But if you enjoyed this video, you like when I dive deep on brands, especially of the fragrance variety, please do give this video a big thumbs up. Subscribe. I upload new videos here every single week and I don't want you guys to miss it. Please let me know in the comments as always what you would like to see next. Let me know if you've gotten your nose on these already, what your favorite fragrance in the lineup is, and do make sure to check out all of our social media handles. We are everywhere, and sign up for our newsletter so you don't miss out when maybe a new fragrance launches or when a video from me goes live, of course. But thank you guys so much for watching. Thank you so much for all of the consistent love and support, and I will catch you guys in my next one. Bye.